How much will mass deportations cost?
By some estimates, that mass deportation plan could cost as much as $88 billion a year just to deport 1 million.
That's about 4 times the annual budget of NASA and roughly 18 times what the entire world spends on cancer research each year. But beyond that price tag, the economic and human cost to our communities would be devastating. We've seen this before. Mass deportations of Latinos in the 1930s and 1950s hurt the economy, tore families apart, and even forced citizens out of their own country. So, if deporting about 2 million people decades ago had all these consequences, what happens if Trump succeeds in deporting over 11 million people today? According to the American Immigration Council, if Trump manages to deport all undocumented immigrants, the United States would lose almost $100 billion in combined federal, state, local, and social security taxes, over $250 billion in purchasing power that fuels our economy, and about 7% in annual GDP. This could mean cuts to public services like education, healthcare, and infrastructure, the closure of businesses, and higher prices due to labor shortages and disruptions in distribution. Simply put, it would be catastrophic. Around 11 million undocumented people live in the U.S. today, many in mixed-status families, households where some members are U.S. citizens or legal residents. They are our parents, spouses, friends, and neighbors. In fact, one study shows 25% of Hispanic children in the U.S. have an undocumented parent, to which Trump says,
the person that came in illegally can go out, or they can all go out together. We don't have to separate families. Yeah. We'll send the whole family very humanely back to the country where they came.
While Trump can find past examples to justify his policy, none of them ended well. During the Great Depression, many blamed Mexicans for taking jobs from U.S. citizens. Sound familiar? Back then, President Herbert Hoover promised American jobs for real Americans and launched a crackdown. Immigration officers raided neighborhoods, swept up people without checking their status, and packed vans with families. Some local governments even offered free train tickets back to Mexico for self-deportation. The result? Roughly 1.8 million people of Mexican descent were deported, and up to 60% of them were U.S. citizens. But did this actually help the economy? No. Economists say it actually made unemployment worse and pushed wages down for U.S. workers. Then came World War II, and suddenly, Mexican labor was in high demand again. The Bracero Program allowed roughly 300,000 Mexican workers per year to enter legally to fill labor shortages in agriculture and railroad industries. But by 1954, the U.S. reversed course again. President Dwight D. Eisenhower launched Operation Wetback, a mass deportation program named after a racist slur for Mexican workers who crossed the Rio Grande. Using military-style tactics, it became the largest mass deportation in U.S. history, targeting anyone who was or even looked Mexican. The government claimed over 1 million removals, though historians say the real number was closer to 300,000. The sudden loss of workers backfired, disrupting industries, and those higher wages? They never came about. Instead, farmers struggled and agricultural land values plummeted. Today, we face similar consequences. A 2023 study shows that when 500,000 undocumented immigrant workers were forced out of the country, 44,000 fewer jobs were held by U.S.-born workers. Industries that rely on undocumented workers would be hit the hardest. The construction industry depends heavily on immigrant labor. If these workers are deported, home building will slow, exacerbating the housing shortage. Currently, 1.79 million new housing units are built annually, many by undocumented workers. Without them, likely fewer homes would be built, repairs and maintenance would slow, and home prices would surge. In agriculture, farmers could lose crops if there aren't hands to harvest them. Prices on foods would rise when distribution inevitably gets interrupted, as 28% of graders and sorters of agriculture products are undocumented. Meanwhile, about 1 million undocumented workers in the hospitality industry could be deported, likely leading to worse staffing shortages than we saw after COVID, slower service, and the closing of hotels, restaurants, and venues. In fact, across all industries, U.S.-born workers could not fill all the jobs of undocumented workers even if they wanted to. Undocumented immigrants are more likely to be of working age than the U.S.-born population. If these workers are deported, they wouldn't be replaced by citizens. It would mean the closure of businesses and fewer jobs altogether. Both then and now, mass deportations led to cultures of fear and desperation. Many found temporary stability in migrant work camps established by the U.S. Farm Security Administration, and others traveled highways in search of work. Today, 5.1 million U.S. citizens who live with an undocumented parent are at risk of tremendous emotional stress and economic hardship, with an average estimated loss of over $50,000 in household income if mass deportations happen.
My dad bought everything for me to live over here, the rent, and I don't know what I'm going to eat. And I'm so hungry right now. I need my dad for me.
It is unclear what benefits would come from a mass deportation operation significantly larger than those we've seen before. It would not keep our community safe, it would not improve our economy, and it would hurt countless lives. In which case, are the consequences of mass deportations really worth it?